We have a nice little dock on Cypress Creek. The river's pretty high right now. We've had a lot of rain this spring. There's about 8 sections of dock, each section being about 16 feet, so you can see how far the dock has to extend out here in the floodplain to get to the deeper part of the creek. This is Cypress Creek. It flows into the Chipola River, which flows into Dead Lakes. And our creek level rises with the level of both the Chipola River and the Apalachicola River. They're all connected. Even when we don't get rain here, or get very little rain, sometimes our water goes up, because the water is back flowing into the creeks and bayous all down here. We have a lot of fish here in the creek. There's otters, there's beavers, a lot of wildlife, a lot of turtles, snapper turtles, soft-shell turtles, other kind of turtles, map turtles. This is a pond cypress. I don't know if you can see the needles on the pond cypress, but pond cypress isn't like a bald cypress. It has thin, skinny needles, more like spruce. That's called a pond cypress. Tupelo trees. We have a lot of Tupelo trees. They're all over. You can see the little Tupelo fruits starting to form. The Tupelo honey season is over now, and the fruits are starting to form on the Tupelo trees. Here's a close-up of the Tupelo leaves. Then we have these are old cypress. They're starting to grow up here next to the dock. We have several of those. The beavers took down several over the winter time. They were chewing up the poor little bald cypress trees that were here, so there's not a whole lot left. The beavers tend to get them. There you can see a little bigger bald cypress trees. The tree we passed, let me back up. I don't know if you can see them or not. You might be able to see them against the sky. This is a Carolina ash tree. It has the little funny colored flyers, the little seeds like a maple tree has that blow around. But that's a Carolina ash. We've got several of those. They're floodplain trees. So we have a lot of those here. These are old cypress pieces that have floated up. Sometimes collectors come and pick these up, and they make crafty things out of them, I guess. I don't know what they do with them. The land that is adjacent to us used to be owned by St. Joe Paper Company, now purchased and owned by Deseret Land and Cattle. So this is the old marker. We try to preserve it as much as we can. We painted it and try to keep it in fairly good shape. You can see the cracks in it where a tree hit it in Hurricane Michael, and we sort of glued and caulked it back together and tried to maintain it. Yesterday we came out and we found an interesting, unusual vine, a little clematis vine, and it has these little clematis flowers on it. We never knew they were here, and we sort of didn't know that we had little wild clematis vines growing here in the woods. But and then the leaf on the vine, and some of them are, the flowers are even down by the water. There's a mix of ferns and buttonbush and St. John wort here along the water. This bamboo that is off to the right, that's what all of this used to look like when we first purchased the property. It was this thick bamboo that was all over the property, and over time we've cut it back and got it off our property, but it still persists here adjacent to us. We haven't done anything to remove any of that, but you can see how thick it is, and it was almost where you could not get through to the water, and that's about what it looked like when we first moved here. You would walk through this bamboo jungle, and that's what you would see. Yesterday when we started up the ridge, we I think ended at the pignut hickory tree. We got that hickory tree from the Forest Service. They gave us some free trees after Hurricane Michael, and this tree has been one of the better performers. It has really done real well. So anxious to see it grow up. The squirrels will like the hickory nuts. This is a Filbert Nut Tree. We have to protect Filbert Nut trees from the deer. The leaves are rather tasty, so it has a cage around it. The crab apples, same thing. Crab apples have a cage around them to protect them from the deer. We have an unusual pine tree here. I haven't really figured out exactly what it is, but it is different than all the other pine trees we have. I'm going to show you something here, and then I'm going to get rid of it. I don't know if you can see it see that little group of yellow eggs there. Those are eggs of a little sawfly or caterpillar of some kind, and if they hatch, they will of course seek out and destroy leaves. So we're going to take those eggs off of the the tree and not give those insects an opportunity to destroy our tree. We have what we call corn pile, and you can see the corn pile here. The deer come every night and eat the corn. I don't know if we can see many tracks here or not. The tracks get covered up by the birds and the squirrels and the small animals. You can see some of the bigger tracks that the deer make. The deer make these little trails that go off our property into the adjacent property. And there's quite a few deer around here. This is what they call a red spire pear. It's sometimes known in landscaping as a Bradford pear, but you can see it has some pretty sharp, big thorns on it. That's where it gets its name, red spire pear. A lot of sparkleberry here on the ridge. We have different oak trees, and we planted a bunch of little oaks, or let a bunch of little oaks grow. And so we try to put a stake around them so I don't mow over them and don't hurt them. And we have those kinds of things. This is a chinkapin tree, and this will have a small nut that looks like a chestnut on it when it grows big. They're like good food for turkeys. The turkeys like them, the wild birds like them. I'm not sure what these little yellow flowers are, but they're sort of a pretty cute little yellow flower. They're very short, low to the ground. I looked them up once. I'm sorry, I forgot their name, but they're real low to the ground, and they survive mowing. I can mow right over them, and those flowers all seem to survive and do well. This portion of the property here is mostly Crepe Myrtle, and we have these Crepe Myrtle trees. And like I said, they have in previous video, they have a lot of pink blossoms. This is beautyberry, and you can see the little beauty berries starting to form on this one. This is an unusual beautyberry in that the berries are snow white. So whereas most of the beautyberry have a purple berry, this one has a white berry. So we put a cage around it. We don't put a cage around the rest of our beauty berries. We have so many of them, and if the deer munch on a few, that's okay. But we protect the white one. There's a little vine that is very close to the ground. It's called Florida Sunshine Mimosa, and it's a little vine that grows close to the ground. It has a leaf like a mimosa, and it has a little pink flower like a mimosa, but not related at all. More oak trees. This one must be in the black oak family from the shape of the leaf. I haven't exactly determined what kind it is. This is one of our mother, what I call a mother tree. It's a willow oak. You can see the willowy leaves. You see these long, slender leaves that grow up. It's a willow oak. Hurricane Michael did a number on it. It is continuing to sprout some branches. It's not a good formed tree or anything like that at this point in time, but I let it grow so that it produces acorns and reseeds and produces some other good little willow oaks in our area. We have strap on one of the persimmon trees. This group of persimmon trees here was ravaged by Hurricane Michael. We still have a strap on one. We just took the strap off the other one this year, so we're monitoring it and see how it's doing. You can sort of see how the trunk has curved. When we remove the strap on this tree, you can see from the ground there that it moved about an inch to the north, where Hurricane Michael pushed the whole tree to the north, and it leans to the north. We had a strap on it and it would not straighten out. The top broke off due to damage from Hurricane Michael, but it is one of our oldest persimmon trees. It's one of the ones that has a larger trunk, so we try to keep it here. You can see that persimmon tree is leaning quite a bit. It's on the property next to us, but other than leaning, it's a good tree. This is a chestnut tree. It's growing pretty well. We planted it here. No chestnuts yet. It's still young. You can see that it is beginning to flower, so you can see the flower fronds there and the insects pollinating it, but no chestnuts yet. And I think we've already seen this part of the property with the fruit that's here, so we're going to end this here.